Afternoon, evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of Book of Boba Fett Ep7 in the name of honor. The finale is here, and I have to say that this finale delivered. It was good that the show ended up being the Boba Fett show because he was being shadowed by the Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, and Grogu. And even though Grogu was in this episode as well as the Mandalorian, they didn't necessarily shadow Boba Fett's performance. This still ended up becoming his show, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This episode was mainly a massive, long-ass shootout in the town of Mos Espa. People were blowing the shit out of each other in various ways. Gunfights, droids, rancors, you fucking name it. It all came into play in this episode, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And we had some good moments between certain characters like Boba Fett and Mandalorian, even though they are of a similar background, so to speak, having Mandalorian armor and Boba Fett obviously being the son of Jango, who himself was a Mandalorian, which has now been established. They still think very differently. They don't follow necessarily the same sort of code. Like Mandalorian is very old-fashioned. He's kind of like a religious zealot, so to speak, when it comes to the code of the Mandalore, whilst Boba Fett just thinks this is a bunch of bollocks. But nevertheless, they're on the same page, and we have some really good Butch Cassidy and Sundance moments with our two boys, with them basically shooting out a whole bunch of pikes, but getting shot at the process. And I really felt that Cassidy and Sundance vibe when it came to all those sort of action scenes. And then we got the town of Freetown coming into play, trying to save the day as well. It was absolutely fantastic when they came in. We found out that Cobb Vanth apparently was dead, but then with a post-credit scene in this episode, we see Cobb Vanth in the Bacta tank, and Thundercat, the guy who was in the episode where he basically rescues Fennec Shand or repairs Fennec Shand. It seems like he's going to be doing his remodeling of Cobb Vanth, so I don't think Cobb Vanth is dead. We do get some nice moments as well between Cad Bane and Boba Fett with a shootout between the two of them, with Cad Bane always feeling like he's one step ahead of Boba Fett. And initially I thought somebody's going to come in and make the save on Boba Fett, but it wasn't the case when Cad Bane had Boba Fett dead to rights. Boba Fett was able to use some of his Tusken ability to overcome Cad Bane and kill Cad Bane. So we seem, because it looked like Cad Bane might still be alive, because there was a little beeping going on his outfit, which might indicate that he could still be alive. And who knows? I mean, the thing with really good characters is that we want them to be around, and even though Cad Bane has been around for a long time regarding the animated series and obviously the Bad Batch as well, we want to see more live action from him, and I'm hoping that this is not the last we will see of him. If he does somehow make a recovery, great. I mean, we've seen worse off when it comes to people and in movie history, even fucking coming back from death. So anything's possible, I guess. In this episode as well, the Pikes do get their comeuppance with Fennec Shand being the lone infiltrator, leaving the town of Mos Espa, or I believe Mos Eisley. It's really hard to decipher which town all this shit was happening in. Sometimes I felt it was Mos Espa, sometimes I felt it was Mos Eisley. But nevertheless, she catches up with the Pikes and she blows them all to hell, including the mayor as well. I like the way she killed him too. Very assassination-like. I very much enjoyed it. Grogu does make his decision as well. He decides to be a Mandalorian because he comes back in an X-Wing. And at first I thought, oh my god, Luke's coming in this episode. I'm glad in a way Luke wasn't in this episode, because if he was, then you can imagine the sort of awkwardness he would have with Boba Fett, considering they were trying to kill each other in Return of the Jedi. So I'm glad that didn't occur. If anything, I'm very glad that we didn't get any sort of special, last minute cameos and bullshit like that, because then that would be very cliched, and you would expect that in every season finale, that we need to get a super cameo of some sort to end the show in that particular way. And I'm glad we didn't get that. We got payoffs with the Rancor coming in and Boba Fett riding the Rancor to destroy the droids and stuff like that. We got payoffs with Grogu choosing the Mandalorian armor and all of that, and obviously the fight between Cad Bane and Boba Fett, and also the resurrection of Cobb Vanth too. And there's another person there who's being resurrected regarding people coming back from the dead. There were payoffs, but I'm glad this show in a way didn't give us super cameos just to like make the fandom lose their fucking shit. The payoffs were good enough for us to lose our shit. Lots of action. This was very, very action orientated, and I'm really glad Robert Rodriguez was able to deliver. I still think his directing regarding speed of vehicles is still a little bit shit, but luckily we didn't have to focus on that too much. We just had to focus on the action, and he's pretty good at that. He has been for a long time. Watch Desperado, fucking amazing movie by the way, with Antonio Banderas, action personified. And yeah, oh sorry about that noise, that's my bird, she's flying around now. But yes, overall a very satisfying episode, a very satisfying finale. Good to see Boba Fett back on form and not feeling like a side project, so to speak. He ended up owning his show, ended up being very badass. I very much enjoyed this, and I like the way it ended as well, with him basically being the town savior and feeling a little bit out of place with it too. And he didn't want to run Spice anymore as well, because he knew Spice was a bad commodity, even though Fennec Shand thought this would be a good thing, but they'll make him a lot of money. And you saw some tense moments between those. Well, I wouldn't say tense moments, but a little bit of conflict between them two. I was wondering how that was going to play out, but fortunately, that didn't really occur to anything too much, which is good. Fennec still remained loyal to Boba Fett, and I'm happy about that too, considering she owes him a life debt. And obviously Black Chrysanthemum was in this episode too. He got the living shit blown out of him at times. I thought he was going to die, but fortunately he didn't. But my god, he took a lot of shots as well. And even the Rancor, once Boba Fett wasn't able to control it because he got thrown off the saddle, so to speak, the Rancor went wild around the town, and very King Kong like as well. And Grogu was the person to bring it back down to earth, so to speak, and he used Force powers, because even though I think he's going to follow the route of the Mandalore, he's still Force sensitive, and he was able to use his Force powers to stop the Rancor from causing any more damage by putting it to sleep. He also uses Force powers on the droid as well. So it's going to be cool to see a Mandalorian in Grogu in the future, hopefully, using his Force powers. And when everything was said and done, we had like a nice little merry moment between Chrysanthemum and Fennec and Boba and the Power Ranger Speed Biker gang and shit like that, all like having a little chat with each other and saying how everything's going to be lovely dovely and bubbly and whatever in Tatooine, and everything's going to be hunky dory. And then we cut to Mandalorian, and obviously Grogu is in that pod where the droids would be. Everyone predicted that, and that was the case. And they're flying in space, and he's annoying Mandalorian to do something, and then we find out what he wants Mandalorian to do, which is to use the sub-light speed drive nitroglycerine bullshit that the spaceship has. And so he does that, and that's how the episode ends. And obviously we get the post-credit scene with Cobb Vanth being prepared by Thundercat. So yeah, it was a really good episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do recommend watching the whole series and everything. It was a good end to this particular book, without maybe elaborating on further things. I'm very happy about that. No stupid cliffhangers, no stupid things to maybe think about season 2. If we do get season 2, great. If we don't get season 2, I'm happy how this ended. It was fantastic. I do want to see more Boba. I do want to see more of Fennec. I do want to see more Black Chrysanthemum. And I hope they do intertwine in Mandalorian season 3 in some capacity. That'll be really cool. But the way Star Wars shows are going right now, you can do a show about a particular character, in this case maybe the Mandalorian in season 3, and then have dollops of maybe Boba Fett, centric episodes as well. And I don't mind that. I'm liking this new formula when it comes to shows. Initially people were a bit pissed off that a Boba Fett show was about Mandalorian and Luke Skywalker, but I'm fine with this now. I'm adjusting to it. As long as we still at times focus on the main character, I have no problems jumping between other characters because we want to see what the fuck they're doing. So I'm hoping that Mandalorian season 3 does what Boba Fett season 1 did and maybe jump to other characters now and again. That would be pretty cool. Anyway, let me know what you think of this show and this particular episode. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Bye bye.